Hello everyone, my name is Søren Peter and I'm a sort of virtual immigrant. I left the mainstream social media behind and settled in a small house here on the anarchistic Minecraft server 2B2T. Yeah, that's my house you see down there. I just climbed up to show you the view. This is where I live. It's a simple treehouse, some livestock, just like the settlers of the 19th century. That's all I need. Well, I've also built an outdoor swimming pool. I thought that I could kind of dive right into.
I don't know what I expected from this Minecraft adventure, but it wasn't this.
My plan was to draw a map of the virtual world, to reinvent the 19th century manifest destiny, to venture west into the unknown, but do it virtually. Escape the suck and mainstream social media, away from the data harvest, the algorithmic panopticon that makes my dreams scroll. A Minecraft world is 7 times larger than the surface of the earth if you convert each block into a cubic meter, so I'm in a wilderness with practically no end. I'm struck by a strange feeling of loneliness being all alone on such an enormous server. My guide, Meme Woman, is offline and I haven't met another player in weeks. I feel incredibly far away from everything, but where am I really? Technically, I'm somewhere in a sequence of ones and zeros inside a game engine, behind a user interface, on a hard drive in a server park somewhere in the unique virtual solar system of Minecraft, owned by Mojang, acquired by Microsoft in 2014. Microsoft, the
Mega conglomerate.
one of the big 5 tech companies that more or less control the digital infrastructure. And now it kind of dawns on me just how exhausting a survival game like Minecraft really is. Work all day long in the mine shaft to collect resources to expand the colonial project. Work, chop trees, level the ground, disturb the wildlife. Don't forget to eat, get some rest. To be honest, it reminds me a little too much of my life in the physical world. I ventured to 2B2T because the server seemed like a remote wilderness far from the platforms of doomscrolling. But now that I'm here, it feels like the one I fear the most still lurks
In the darkness deep beneath the ground.
Hey.
the suck, my nemesis. What's really the difference between scrolling through thousands of images on social media and then chopping through thousands of pixels on a server owned by Microsoft Megacore mainstream doomscrolling? And is it in some backward way myself I'm excavating as I leave my digital footprint? It feels like there's a conceptual depth in the virtual landscape that I've yet to grasp. If I really want to escape the pull of my scrolling dreams, then I must rethink my map. I must arm myself not physically but theoretically. I must gather ammunition in the world of ideas, because maybe what I'm looking for is not so much a place as it is a new way of conceptualizing the virtual space. Yes, maybe the free virtual space doesn't exist at the edge of the map, but just around the corner, like a crack in the wall where a new reality is quietly growing its seedlings. I begin by drawing a large cross in the middle of my map, dividing it into 4 equal parts like a kind of coordinate system. I want to divide the virtual world into different spheres and make a model of some sort, but how? If I've learned anything from my solitary work in the mines, it is that I need someone to exchange experiences and feelings with. I miss a public sphere. I dive into my theory books and find one of the most famous social models of the past 100 years, the model of the bourgeois public sphere by German philosopher Jürgen Habermas in the book Strukturwandel der Öffentlichkeit from 1961. In the book, Habermas lays out the development of the public sphere over the past 1,000 years. Habermas' account begins in the Middle Ages, where there was no public sphere as we know it today. There was no common space where people could criticize those in power. On the contrary, public back then was a privilege of power. Public meant showcasing power. It's the king on his throne with his splendid crown, and the servant sees the crown and understands that everything is good because the king is God's representative on earth. Obviously, just look at the shining crown. Everything is in its rightful place in this world. But this changes as a new social class enters society. Merchants and craftsmen displace the old nobility. Le bourgeoisie, the commoners, reinvent social life from the ground up. Habermas notices this change in the new layout of their homes. Instead of great halls designed to display your dash and splendor, le bourgeoisie divide their homes into small chambers to give the occupants privacy from the outside world. And inside these chambers, people write about their innermost thoughts and feelings in an unprecedented way. Here, inwardness becomes a goal in itself. And in the living rooms, people discuss the letters. A literary public sphere is formed, and in salons, bierstuben and tea houses, they debate which letters are the best and why. And from the letters, the novel and the newspaper emerge. In this new public sphere, the critique of power takes hold, because there's only a short distance from literary fiction to revolutionary social critique. The theory goes that the great democratic revolutions of the 18th and 19th centuries would never have taken place if people had not shut their chamber doors and written about their feelings. But where does that leave us today? Has the rise of the internet and the virtual world undermined the critique in the public sphere? Or is it rather a democratization in which the voices that were never invited into the bourgeois beer halls can finally be heard? I sense I'm closing in on an answer when I come across a very beautiful book titled The Dark Forest Anthology of the Internet. The title print is almost invisible, as if it's trying to keep itself secret. And inside it contains maps and coordinates of the virtual world similar to my own. However, the maps in the book are slightly different, making me question whether my labels are correct. I decide to contact the author of the book, but the list of names is overwhelming, so I choose the one that stands out the most, Lil Internet. That's a perfect name, I think. I Google it and find an old Tumblr profile and an article about the meme subgenre C-punk. Apparently invented by Lil Internet, whose real name is Julian, after he had a surreal dream. Julian Lil Internet was a sort of producer, DJ, music video director underground icon in the 2010s. Since then he has founded the alternative media platform New Models, where he writes about the influence of technology on today's media landscape. I traveled to Berlin to talk to Julian about how the internet changed the public sphere, and he draws a picture of a digital infrastructure that is fundamentally broken.
We live in a literal attention economy. Like, you look at the stock market right now, it's like Tesla is not worth $1 trillion, because they sell 300,000 cars a year. It's not $1 trillion company. Everything is a meme stock basically. So it's the incentive system's all wrong, and it just ends up all of the flows of energy and thought just goes towards maximizing value. If your life flashes before your eyes when you die, and kind of all of your memories just all fire at once, how shitty would it be if it's all crypto charts and old forgotten memes and shit, or WhatsApp chats? That's hell, you know? Mm-hmm. It's an extremely contemporary version of hell. 21st century weed. Yeah. So terrible. Why would you? The scale in itself, though, of these platforms is a problem. That's the whole thing with dark forest communities. Mm-hmm. Is it's a smaller scale that it nurtures a much more generative kind of discourse or community, right? Like the scale.
According to Julian, we
Twitter or
must give up the
Instagram,
dream of a large, one-size-fits-all public sphere and instead reorganize ourselves in smaller communities, what he calls dark forests. The dark forest hypothesis originates from astronomy as a chilling solution to the Fermi paradox. That the reason we don't see life when we look out into space is not that it's not there, it's because it's hiding. Any advanced civilization will eventually understand that broadcasting your existence to the rest of the universe is not necessarily advantageous, since other, potentially more advanced and hostile civilizations could be listening. This is the concept that is now being applied by Julian and others to modern media reality.
Mine your world. And so Dark Forest Online came from the idea of where you don't really want to advertise your community to, say, search engines or the greater web. You want to have a kind of closed community that where people can say things without it being able to instantly be retweeted or pumped out to Instagram, social media, or where someone just searching Google isn't going to be able to find it and then organize a troll campaign against your online community.
So Habermas' public sphere has collapsed, says Julian. And if you want to create meaningful online communities, we must use semi-hidden paths in the dark forests. But who do you find out there in the dark forests? When I ask Julian for an example of such a forest community, he gives a surprising answer.
Gay autistic furries are the Illuminati of the internet, and they have been for decades.
Furries, as in animal characters, teddy bear sex, and people in full body costumes at large conventions. Yes, that's exactly what Julian is referring to.
Their sexuality and sense of identity has always been avatar-based, especially when it comes to fursuits. Like, you're kind of embodying a different form, right? So not only are they extremely online, but they also really value the de-virtualization of the online avatar into an embodied form. If you could think of some kind of oracle or guru or shaman of the extremely online age, it would be gay autistic furries.
Gay autistic furries. The more I think about it, the more sense it makes. As the classic public sphere is falling apart and the introspection that once gave the bourgeois subject its revolutionary potential to begin with has become the raw material harvested from our social media accounts every single day. Doesn't it make sense then that the public tea salons must reappear in a new shape? A dark forest in our midst, a protected semi-public space shielded from the Zuckerberg suck.
Hey.
And that this new virtual forest public must be built entirely from scratch by a new digital subject who is chronically online and whose identity is fundamentally doubled into a virtual alter ego. The fursona. Whew. Let me just catch my breath for a second. Once you get furries on your mind, you start seeing them everywhere. Maybe I'm some kind of repressed furry myself, a closet furry if you will. I decide to dive down the rabbit hole to find out. I start off on Telegram, a popular place for furries to share pictures with each other. I quickly learned that the furry world revolves a lot around kink and NSFW. After scrolling through hundreds of very explicit furry anime images, I get impatient. I want to step into a 3D space, a furry version of a 17th century tea salon. I find out that VR chat is a common furry meeting place, but I can't download it for my Mac. Instead, I turn to the mother of virtual worlds, Second Life. I enter a server where arrows on the floor point me towards a nightclub called Club Yif, Yif being furry slang for pornographic content. When I find the nightclub, I take a deep breath and step inside. inside, something like 10 to 12 people are hanging out in the dark and I'm unsure of what to do with myself. I stand alone in a corner and then I try to engage with one of the others, but I get no response. Eventually I wonder if the people in here even see or hear me, so I decide to simply shout out at everyone.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
After my social defeat, I try to sit down on a couch in the corner, but I accidentally click a button and my avatar begins humping the couch instead.
Oh my freaking god, how do I make him stop? Jesus.
I decide to find another way into the community, and then I remember something Julian said. He told me that furries are particularly good at developing their own AI models.
Essentially, the best model that exists for doing any kind of illustration, anime, any kind of like really weird fetish AI porn is called Furry Diffusion, and it was made by a group of furries who had, already, like before anyone even knew image generation was coming, assembled these archives of tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of photos tagged and labeled. Essentially, furries accomplished something creating this like AI model that would have taken like the resources of like a Silicon Valley company or something to make otherwise.
An underground furry AI porn model. That sounds fucking brilliant. After a bit of research, I find a Discord server called Furry Diffusion, where AI furry enthusiasts gather to train their own models and share endless amounts of furry AI art. I post in the general chat explaining that I'm making a documentary about virtual worlds, but I'm met with immediate suspicion. It's clear that the furries are very protective about their representation. An admin contacts me and I have to send various links to my previous films and social media profiles to prove that I'm not some scammer or malicious journalist. Once I pass the screening process though, I'm quickly welcomed into a group voice chat where people help each other use Stable Diffusion. One of them is called Pokéfan and he offers to help me create my own fursona.
Sounds so late. At some point in time, we have to make your fursona. So
Yeah.
if you want, at any point in time, just let me know. Just let us know and we'll help you out with that, okay?
Thank you so much. A few days later, I called Pokéfan to hear if he's still interested in helping me.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, it's me, Sansole, Sean Peter. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Nice to talk to you again.
Likewise.
Pokéfan. Is that what you're called?
Pokéfan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it would be interesting to talk about how we should get to making my fursona somehow.
Sure.
Yeah.
But hold on.
I'm holding on.
You are Alice, and you've just entered the rabbit hole, and you are trying to see how deep it goes. You need to go through a spiritual journey in order to find yourself within your particular character. I will start off by asking this question. There must be an animal that you actually kind of like related to. Kind of like did you identify with this particular animal?
Actually, the first thing that came to my mind was my parents. They got this cat that was a Maine Coon. Do you know that breed?
Describe it to me.
That's like the biggest cat there is. It's a huge cat. I was so amazed by that animal. I don't know how much it reflects my own personality, but I've never felt so connected with an animal.
Is it somewhat similar to this?
That's actually a typical Maine Coon with the ears like that, but this cat had a more majestic, lionesque look.
Remember, this is AI, and AI is not going to be consistent.
No.
But let's see if we can actually get something that goes heavy on the
on the lion. Yeah.
Let me see if I can actually fix
From this point on, an iterative process
So
begins
basically
with
what this is
Pokéfan,
doing-
and we slowly
And in fact,
hone
if
in
you have
on
a
something that
particular-
resonates.
Uh-oh.
Even though we struggle with the AI model's tendency to create
I'm
very
telling you, this
explicit
This
images,
thing loves doing
then
NSFW, so
gradually something
Do you
happens.
think that the main coon is the... Okay, interesting. I kind of connect to that image. Okay, let's iterate.
a particular
Pokéfan
hairstyle.
asks
Me,
questions
myself,
about
I'm
appearance,
completely black hair.
feelings, and style, makes pop cultural references and cross-references with databases of furry art he has scraped from the internet over the years.
Yeah, you're batching.
And finally, we arrive at a result I'm happy with.
I like that a lot. I mean, it has like a sad expression.
Melancholy.
Mm.
It lost its sense of idealism, sorta, kinda.
Haha. I lost my sense of idealism.
Then, just as I'm about to say goodbye to Pokéfan, I learn the tragic story behind the Pikachu in Knight's boots.
I'm really thankful for the way you've helped me. It means a lot to me in many ways.
I'm actually happy that basically I really honestly don't have anything else to do.
Okay.
So I like to help people out, and this is the only thing that I have right now. I'm actually unemployed. I've had a whole lot of bad luck, but I've made many contributions to society. I worked with AI. I worked with hybrid electric vehicles back when Tesla didn't exist yet. I used to have a car. I lost my car. I used to go to university. I haven't been able to go back to university because I lost my car. I used to basically, I'm a very poor person. I don't have the ability to have my own home. I have to live at home with my own parents. My mother and I don't necessarily get along. My sister and I don't necessarily get along. My father actually died around 3 years ago. Honestly, I don't know if I'm crazy, if it's my fault, or I don't know. I've just had bad luck. Let's just attribute it to that. But for some reason, I have the internet, which I still don't understand because we're actually practically dirt poor right now. And despite my circumstances, I'm going to try to help other people despite my circumstance. And even in Furry Diffusion, I'm helping many people. There was a whole lot of people that had some form of autism or ADHD that were basically incompatible with the rest of society. They'd come over to the server, and they were actually awesome people. A little bit eccentric, but then again, all of us were. But there was this sense of we could actually be ourselves, or in fact, we can pretend to be something, and that pretend play, we can basically manifest ourselves however we want. Who determines who I am is me. But who determines that? How I determine that? Who knows?
After my fursona ritual with Pokéfan, I start seeing furries in the streets. It turns out that there's a Furry Walk once a month right around the corner from where I live.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What's your name?
I go by Amber or Ambertail.
Ambertail. Nice to meet you, Ambertail. I'm Sansule. I'm a main coon. It's a beautiful fursuit.
Oh, thanks. It's pretty old at this point.
It is?
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
look
got this
old.
when I was like 15, I think. So it's 10 years old by now.
Uh-huh.
A Furry Walk is a kind of parade where you exhibit your inner furry in public. We gather in the nearest park and there is this sort of ceremony which, well, it kind of reminds me of cows being let out to pasture after a long winter in the barn. Like Julian said, furries are particularly good at de-virtualizing their online identities. bringing them into the physical world, making them corporal and tangible. Perhaps the furries show us a way out of doomscroll slavery, not by disconnecting, but by merging with the virtual on their own terms. As such, there's a kind of resistance even in the stickers they sell in the bar after the Furry Walk.
Can I buy these?
Yeah, sure. Let me just.
A way to reclaim ownership of their digital doppelgangers.
I would say like probably about 80 to 90% of the community has some kind of creative drive or inspiration in some regard. Like Rufus, he writes. I do a lot of music. Yeah, you do. You should write.
Like, it's a side hustle.
Yeah, it's a no, yeah. Even know he writes. Yeah.
Guy, I'm a geologist. I don't
He's
do.
a geologist.
I specifically actually don't like fursuits that much. They're too hot. They're uncomfortable. I don't like it. You can't see shit. No. So like, I sort of like vaguely cosplay as my fursona to sort of like have something going on. But also, we even have some artist credit here. Storial. There's a bunch of autistic people here too. I'm pretty sure I'm one of them as well. We're waiting on a diagnosis, but like, there's a lot of like autistic communication of being very outgoing and direct about everything that you get to like. With this kind of accepting community, you get to be awkward and you get to be weird, and it all works out.
Though the label gay autistic is obviously reductive and doesn't capture the plurality of furries, it still captures something essential. A capacity to confront stigma by simply cancelling out the shame. I consider furries a strange kind of avant-garde that fundamentally challenge the way we conceive identity. Just like the bourgeois letters in the 17th century enabled us to look inward in a new way, so the furries show us how we can make the virtual present. The furries express an intimacy that doesn't vanish behind the screen, but is amplified by it, an intimacy flowing through hidden paths on the internet, creating sanctuaries for the outcasts, beautiful clearings in the dark forest. Back in my office, I'm feeling satisfied with my conclusions when I notice a strange black spot in the center of my map. The spot is strangely non-reflective with a flickering quality, and the next time I look at it, it's grown. I get the distinct feeling that once again I've overlooked something in my attempt to map the virtual world, something tied to my ultimate nemesis, the Facebook overlord, Mark Zuck.